Hello guys, it's me, the Tank Index here. I am sorry that this video was not out yesterday on Monday as it, usually is. But honestly, I was just kind of busy yesterday and I literally didn't even have time to make some Google Slides for this, much less actually make the video. I literally just finished making this a few seconds ago. Um, I have said I don't think I'm going to cover all artillery tractors. If there's like certain artillery tractors that interest me or look cool, then maybe I'll cover them. But like I'm not gonna cover all of them like I do tanks because also I don't really have much to say about it. But most of them, like, it's hard to make a bad artillery tractor because its role is drag artillery around. Like, so all these videos basically the final system is to just drag things around well, And so I don't think I'm really gonna cover these all that many. So if you say I missed them, like I'm not planning to cover all of them like I am tanks. But let's just get into the video. So starting with really the legacy of the Great War. The British did have some artillery tractors in World War One. They changed some of the land ships to artillery tractors. They had some Ford tractors bought from America. But most of them were really horse-drawn still, and this led to a lot of difficulties, especially in the rocky terrain where there's craters and mud everywhere. I mean, it's kind of hard for horses, right? And so it kind of led to them realizing, yeah, maybe we should mechanize this a bit. So after the war, Major General Louis Jackson, who was the former director of trench warfare, he kind of advised, yeah, maybe they should have some like trucks or like tractors in every branch of every part of the artillery. So in 1921, really mechanizing the artillery branch began with the British. So you know Lieutenant Colonel Philip Johnson had been involved in tank design since really 1918. He worked on the Medium Mark II, for example, which isn't that good, but still it's something. He would work on, a tropical tank in India in 1922. He would visit there to see really what a tank would need for that region, specifically in like almost the Pakistan region, which resulted in a tropical tank, which also had a supply carrier variant. It had a 90 horsepower Armstrong Siddeley air-cooled engine, along with a pretty novel wire rope suspension, which, while not going anywhere, some nice experimentation. A few prototypes would be made by the Royal Field Artillery, which would lead to the Vickers Medium Dragon Mark I. There would be a full 9 crew members, which obviously, this thing, if it's carrying 2 8-pounders, that's about 4 in each. They would have 3-row seats, as seen here, which I think it's really not protected at all. Even like I get it that it's a support vehicle and it's not supposed to go into combat, but I mean, this really has no crew protection at all. Like they'd literally be better if they like hid behind the artillery and rode on it. But whatever, there would be a commander and a driver in the front. About 18 of these would be produced, 2 of which being converted for the Royal Air Force Armored Car Company by literally just removing the benches and sort of slapping a turret onto it. It would be designed to move around the QF 18-pounder, and it could do this well. 1 or 2 were experimented with as bridge layers, but this never really went anywhere. And these, it would have a more normal coil spring suspension system. The Mark II was sort of a rearrangement. Instead of having those 3 seats you hear, we have these 2 sideways benches, which actually had some armor in them, which is nice. A footage reel in 1923. I'm not sure if that's how you spell footage reel. I think it's 2 E's. But it would show King George V also inspecting one of these, which is cool. A 2-star variant would mainly just have redesigned ammunition storage. For the Mark III, I'm not actually sure if this is a Mark III, but it's a pretty cool image I found. The tank would have around 11 men being made around 1929, and it would weigh around 9 tons. It could carry a pretty good 128 rounds, and still going at 60 miles per hour, having the same engine as the Vickers medium tanks of the time. A 2B would be made as well, mainly with some minor changes, and some of these would still be around at the beginning of World War II. Onto the Mark IV, which was the final version of this. It was produced around 932, and it would have a major redesign, having, for one, the running gear of the Vickers 6-ton. Only 12 were bought by the British in 1935, mainly because around this time the Army kind of decided that instead of having tracked vehicles, which tend to be slower, they wanted wheeled support vehicles like trucks. So that's why they only really bought 12, and some of these would just be sent to France in World War II. 23 were sold to China the same year, and India would get 18 2 years later in 1937. 1 was sold to a little German company. Finland would buy 20 in 33. And 26 would actually be sold to Siam, or modern-day Thailand, in anti-aircraft versions, having a 2-pounder pom-pom gun, which I think is pretty cool. David Fletcher, a historian, claims that the Matilda's running gear was derived from the Mark IV, though, you know, we could argue that all day. For final assessments, I mean, still, like, there's really not much to say. It's a perfectly good installed artillery tractor. It could move things around. It could probably use a better crew protection, but good enough for the role. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and next time we will be going to Germany.